What is going on, everyone? Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Forward Thinking Founders. I am very grateful to have your attention, at least for the next 15 minutes of this episode. Forward Thinking Founders is a podcast where I interview pre-seed and seed stage founders about their products, what they want to build into the world, and why. We dive into how they spend their time, what's their vision, what's the origin stories, all these things, so you can learn all about what's coming tomorrow. Because these companies haven't hit critical scale yet. Most of them haven't hit product market fit. These are just early stage companies, and the big question is, what can this be? And in this podcast, we bring that out. So with that, I really hope you enjoy your time listening to today's episode. And I've already done 200 plus, so if you like this one, listen to some of the other ones, like with Amadi Kund, Austin Allred, Leah Culver. We have great interviews, so check it out, enjoy the repository, and for now, let's get into today's episode. Here we go. All right, how's it going, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Forward Thinking Founders. We talk to founders about their companies, their visions for the future, and habits to collide. Today, I'm very excited to be talking to Greg Fragin, who's the founder of Loop. Welcome to the show. How's it going?
It's going great. Great to be here, Matt.
Yeah, excited to have you on. For people listening, Greg was an early OG of the precursor to Seed Scout, Forward Thinking City community, and I'm super stoked to have him on the podcast and highlight and share kind of Loop with everyone listening. So for people that haven't heard of your company, they haven't heard of Loop before, what are you working on? What is Loop?
So Loop is a software platform aimed to simplify your day, and we look to do that without asking you to change the tools that you already work with. So we're solving information overload for the individual user.
So walk me through, if someone was to try Loop or sign up, give it a shot, what would their experience be? Can you kind of walk through the average of UX of someone trying out the product?
Yeah, absolutely. So we start with Loop. We start with the premise that most people use multiple tools, multiple platforms, whether it's Google, Dropbox, Office 365, Twitter, you name it, where they generate, store, and share information. And whether you're using one tool or using many, we're all faced with this deluge of information, and managing our messages, our files, our tasks, our contacts, and our meetings has become more and more difficult. So what we do with Loop is we'll give the user a platform to connect their individual accounts. So you connect your Google, you OAuth directly through Google's, they send us back a secure token. Everything is done with the utmost security. And then we will analyze, parse, and surface the information that is most relevant to you, most important, based upon the things that you're working on, based upon meetings that you have, based upon tasks that you have that are due dates, or based upon simply the relative importance of the people that are sending you the information. So think about changing your mindset from inbox zero, I got to get through all the things in my inbox, to priority zero. I need to see the things that are most important, most relevant to my workflow, and the most important for me to get through the day. And so once the user authenticates, we do the rest. We will parse that information, we will run it through our systems, and then we will surface it for you in a very simple and straightforward dashboard.
So walk me through a little bit about the origin story here. Why did you decide to work on this problem? And why Loop?
Yeah, so my as you know, Matt, my journey is a little bit I don't want to say unconventional, but my journey, I've been through, a couple of phases in my career. So I started as an attorney at big bankruptcy department in a big New York law firm. Moved from there to being in-house at a hedge fund and a family office. And no matter what I was doing, whether it's as a student, a lawyer, or on the business side, I was experiencing this information overload. I had documents that were saved everywhere, and I had messages that were coming in from multiple different inboxes and different chats and the like. And I was presented at our family office, we were presented with a potential tool that was being built for us to kind of get rid of the noise, just be able to not lose anything, always know where everything is and be able to collaborate. And that was a kind of a really cool idea, and it resonated with me because of my own experience. One thing led to another. We provided the seed capital, the day one capital, and we got very heavily involved in the company. And at some point, the decision was made that hands-on day-to-day involvement would be beneficial for the company as well as for the product. And I joined, and I say I joined full time, but we really kind of stripped down the entire product and reimagined it. And so I'm working on a product with a massive market. I mean, the productivity software market is huge. Information overload is $1 trillion a year problem in the United States alone. And it's a problem with a solution that I'm very passionate about. So it was kind of a great confluence of circumstance.
And as you've kind of gone on the journey of being a founder, what have you learned along the way, whether it be about product, marketing, raising capital, like using Twitter? What are some lessons that you've learned on your journey?
Well, the first lesson is you don't know anything. That's the first lesson. I mean, I don't mean you, man. I mean me. I mean, is that every day is a learning experience, and open up yourself to learning, because you're going to get, I have found that I am going to pick up insights from really, really unimagined sources. I mean, people that are just, throwaway lines. Oh, wow, this person's doing this. This person's doing that. How do I incorporate those lessons? How do I kind of internalize that and make it work for what I'm trying to achieve and build? The second thing is community. It is the rare founder that can lock him or herself in a room and just build. And if you can do it, kudos to you. But at some point, you're going to need customers. And at some point, you're going to need people to give you feedback. And at some point, you may be building the best rocket ship in the entire world. But if nobody wants to ride on it, who cares? And so community and feedback and constantly being in touch with people and searching out those discussions is probably number two. Number three is don't take yourself too seriously. You might be building something great and you might be on a noble purpose, but it's a long, long, long journey, and getting it right is hard, and there are a lot of iterations. And if you are too stressed, and if you live and die with every win and every loss, you're going to get burnt out very, very quickly. And number four, which, I'm not sure that these are in order of importance, but number four definitely is you got to love what you're doing. You got to love speaking to people. You got to love what you're building. You have to really, really feel passionate about the project that you're on, the people that you're working with, and the people that you're talking to. And if those things align, suddenly you're giving yourself a really great chance. And number five is, you got to roll with the punches. I mean, I think that may be a duplicate, but you got to roll with the punches. And, some days, some good days, some bad days, but it's fun. I mean, it's a cool journey.
And if you kind of take all of those learnings and kind of combine it to what you're doing and look out into the future, 5, 10, 15 years, what do you see as the big vision for Loop? Or in other words, what direction are you rowing in, and kind of what's this going to look like in a decade or two?
So in a decade or two, we're ubiquitous. The Loop is the solution that every single knowledge worker has on as part of their workflow. It doesn't necessarily mean that they are living in our interface each day, but that this idea of connecting their information, creating that, call it social graph for their content, is part of their workflow. And it might be through a Slack bot that happens to actually be in production for us right now. We're working on that. It might be that kind of brings your information, more context into your Slack workspaces. It might be through our API connections to the products that you already use, or it might be in the Loop interface itself. We really feel that this understanding of how your world fits together, this jigsaw puzzle, kind of completed jigsaw puzzle, is so important to conquering and simplifying your day. To get there, certainly we're more myopically focused on our kind of go-to-market segments, and, if you will, the low-hanging fruit of people that have already indicated, and the kind of user personas that have indicated that this is something that they're really, really excited about using today. And hopefully we'll be able to land and expand that to the rest of the world.
And in order to bring it to life and kind of make it happen, you'll need some help, right? It takes a village to make a startup work and scale. So my question for you is, how can the forward-thinking founders community help? Are you hiring, raising money, looking for users, customers, partners? How can we assist?
So the first thing, the most important thing in our world, and for really any startup, is users, right? So as we've done I'd say a pretty good job building our Loop community and our Loop community of users, but today we've built this to scale, and we can 10x that user number without kind of without blinking from a product perspective. But we would love to open up Loop to as many forward-thinking community members as are willing to come on board, and you can be in touch with me directly. We'll figure that out. But and in terms of raising capital, we've been all self-funded and friends and family rounds, and our intention is to, seed scout aside, but our intention certainly is we're embarking right now on our hopefully our last big friends and family round, and not to say that we wouldn't entertain the right strategic institutional partner, but frankly we have the ability to excuse me, to fund this. And we would prefer to have those conversations strategically and where there's where there's more traction. This has been a big product to build, bringing together all of your different tools and making them work together seamlessly is, and I'm not the technical founder, but is, I've just seen it, and I mean is a very, very big lift. And so, but we needed to have all these pieces in place to kind of prove our concept. So it's been a long road. We are now excited to bring that to market. So just to come back to your question, there is opportunity to participate in our funding rounds. We're not kind of actively seeking that outside of our network, but are open to discussions if they kind of materialize. But really, it's about using the product. Some of the best improvements to the product have come from our user base. One other thing that I would just kind of throw out there that we're doing, and I'm excited to, I'll announce it first here. We don't know that it exists anywhere else, but many companies have advisory boards. We are launching sometime in January our Gen Z advisory board. So this is an advisory board dedicated, populated only by students and recent graduates, so people that fit into that kind of Gen Z category. And we have some really great people joining it, really diverse crowd, and their goal is to help us market and improve our product specifically for the Gen Z community, because our market research has shown, our user base inside the students and the recent graduates are, there's a lot of love coming our way from that, and we just want to make it, even better. So those are things that we're doing that I think are directly related to the community. Yeah.
And if someone wanted to learn more, try the product, get in touch about anything you just mentioned, how can they find you on the internet? Do you have a website, social media presence, email address? How can someone learn more?
So my Twitter handle is at gfragin, GFRAGIN. You can email me GFRAGIN at loophq.com. You can find me on a lot of Slack workspaces, Seed Scout in particular. And you can go to try the product. You go to loophq.com directly. You can sign up. We're running a launch special. You can either go with a 14-day free trial, or you can take advantage of our launch special, which is 50% off of the normal pricing, which is, on an annual basis, it's $59 for a year for professionals. It's $29 a year for students, and you will enjoy that pricing forever, as long as you're a customer. But I love talking to users. So anybody that's interested, please hit me up directly.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for sharing what you're working on with Loop, and best of luck building this out. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you.